You might have seen two different persons pronouncing a word in two different ways, and you got confused as to which was the correct pronunciation. Let me tell you, both were correct. Here I've got a list of words which have two different pronunciation just because they have changed from their noun forms to their verb forms. Here in the list, as you can see, the first list I've got over here is the noun forms, and the second list over here are the verb forms of the same word. Let's try to see them one by one. As you can see, there are two strokes for each word. Like for the first word, it is convert, and you can see the stress, this stroke over con is there, and that part of the syllable is stressed more than the other part, that is vert. Okay, so this one will be pronounced as convert, but this one over here will be pronounced as convert. Now you see two changes from the first to the second. In the first one, the first con got converted into con, and the stress also changed from the first to the second. Now over here it is compound, but this one becomes compound. Compound, compound. Content, content. I contented myself with the content. Produce, and this one is produce. Pro, produce, produce. Contract, contract. Contract, contract. I contracted the contract into few $1,000,000. Before that was a $1 billion contract. So permit, 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 permit. The permit permits you to do anything. The permit permits you. Conflict, 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 conflict. Project, project. So you can project a figure, right? And you're running a project. So in that project you can project something. Import, 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 import. Export, export. As you can see over here, for the first one, export, the first sound is a, as in export, export. But there's a change over here. The x becomes an x, and the syllable of course goes to the second one and becomes export. In the same way over here, object becomes subject. Two changes you can see over here. First, when you say object, the first sound is o and becomes ob, object, and this becomes object. The first sound over here is this sound, object. Now this one over here is conduct, and this is conduct, con. I conduct a conduct building exercise. I insult, insult, insult as a noun, insult as a verb. Reject, reject. Escort, escort. Again the same thing over here. The first sound is a, but here the first sound is e, and the stress of course goes from the first syllable to the second syllable, so it becomes escort, escort. The escorts escorted the president. This is not an exhaustive lesson for nouns and verbs in terms of their pronunciation change. It's just to drive in your interest towards these kinds of pronunciation nuances. And do not try to extend this idea for each of the words. Like, for example, you have got detail over here. You just can't say detail in the noun form as detail and the verb form as detail. Okay? In the same way, you can't say consent and consent. In both noun and verb forms, they remain the same, like consent as a noun form, consent as a verb form, detail as a noun form, detail as the verb form. Although you can have some understanding about it, but you should not generalize it for all the verbs that you encounter. Do recheck it before you go for a kind of generalization. Thanks for watching the video, and please do subscribe to my channel.